Hey folks, and welcome. My name is Mal, and this is Endless Space Disharmony. This is the first paid expansion, or DLC, for the Endless Space series. Now, this came out in June of 2013, and I had acquired it, never got around to playing it, simply because I was playing some other titles, but I really like this series, and in particular, I like Amplitude Studios, the people that have released the Endless Space series. Because until Disharmony came out, there had been multiple expansions of the game, all of which added new gameplay features and fixes and what have you. And they didn't charge for any of it, which I think is somewhat unique, right? Now, what is Endless Space? Endless Space is what's categorized as a 4X strategy game, and the 4X stands for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. Now, this is in the same vein as games like Master of Orion, 1 and 2, Star Trek Birth of the Federation, more recently games like Galactic Civilization. Those are all great titles. Master of Orion 2 still remains one of my favorite games to date, ever. Any genre. And Endless Space, I think definitely adds something to that vein. I think it's a good game, and I thought, you know what, let me revisit this title. I haven't played Disharmony, and I thought it would be interesting to feature it on the channel. So let's start right off the bat. Let me create a new game. And I am going to show you in this introductory video Endless Space, okay? And then I'll make a second video that'll go more into depth about Disharmony. And then by the third video, I'll essentially start just a let's play, and I will essentially be playing Disharmony for the first time. And I probably won't even play as the new faction, but I will make sure that I put them in the game, okay? So that at least I'll come up against them. So this will be your introduction, just sort of the interface and how things sort of work. So if you already know how to play Endless Space, you might want to go to the next video, okay? So then in the next video, I will detail some of the changes that this expansion brought along. And then the third video will just be me playing in the new Disharmony game, and just moving forward as a traditional Let's Play. Okay, so let's start off here. Start a new game, and you have a lot of options, and this can be a little overwhelming when you're a new player. Okay? As you can see here, I've created the Mals, which is a custom race, and I'll get to that in a second. So let's start with Galaxy. This can largely dictate how your game goes, so it's important that you hover over. I'll just briefly do that. It's important that you pick something that, you kind of feel like is going to be advantageous for you, especially when you're trying to get comfortable. Now, what I like to do when I was starting off learning the game, I wanted to create bottlenecks through the space lanes and be able to defend more easily. So, Spiral, if you look here, Galaxy, Spiral 4, and then you select Number of Empires 4. This is going to put each of you out on your own arm. Okay, so if I go here, I hover over. See, the Spiral Galaxy with 4 arms. So you're each going to start out on your own limb, and then there's going to be some more advantageous systems to get to towards the center. So it kind of becomes a little bit of a race to get to them. The size of your galaxy dictates how many systems and the general, number of distance in terms of the parsecs in between star systems. Now, this is largely dictated, one, by how long you want your game to be, how many competitors you're choosing to play against, and then also what your system can handle, because you don't want time between turns to be too excessive, right? So you can choose this based on what you feel is going to be best in terms of time per turn cycle, and then also whether or not you want to have a longer game by having, say, like a huge star system. Now, understand, if you choose huge, I mean, it's huge, and I mean, it's no joke. It's going to take a while to finish that game, unless you get bum rushed by a couple of the AIs early. This can take a significant amount of time. All right, so let's go to the advanced system balancing. You can see here that you can choose whatever you want, from no balance to perfect balance. You can change the density of the galaxy, how close constellations are together, their distances, planet sizes, whatever you want. I mean, they really did a great job of giving you flexibility in terms of how you want to play the game. Over here, in terms of difficulty settings, you really have the same thing. Okay, so you can choose, anywhere from newbie, which I really don't even recommend even for a new player. New players, I would say, start off on easy, so you have somewhat of a challenge, and then gradually move yourself up. Okay, and as you go up, it does get harder, folks. I mean, obviously, but I mean, it really does. So I'll just select serious, so I have some experience here, right? And I usually select fast game speed, so this is just an adjustment to research time and growth rates. If you click the advanced tab, this is where, in this little slider bar here on the side, I'll let you go up and down. This allows you to select different things to, again, customize your game experience. Things like this right here, ambiance elements on game map. If you're having a hard time running things, you can shut that off, and it won't look as pretty, obviously, but this will help you in terms of performance. So just something to bear in mind if you've got maybe a little bit of an older system or what have you. Random things like pirates, you can change them, you can take them completely out of the game. Victory conditions. Some of these victory conditions I don't really like all that much, so sometimes I will disable them to allow the game to play out. I don't want to be going for, say, a diplomatic victory, or maybe I'm trying to go for a scientific victory and I'm doing just fine, right? And then all of a sudden somebody wins via economic victory or whatever, and I'm so I've lost the game simply because someone rushed that ahead. And yeah, you could argue that that's just part of the deal, but sometimes I don't want to have to deal with that, so it's nice to be able to have the flexibility to choose. Okay. Now, in terms of race, they all bring something different to the table. So when you select a race, and there are quite a few here to choose from, including the new one, the Harmony, which came in this expansion, you will see that they come with a set number of traits over here on the side. And it gives you some, flavor text of, who they are and kind of what motivates them, and their diplomatic alignment. Now, when you come up against them, the AI will play this way. So, it is, important to, bear that in mind. And if you hover over, it'll show you exactly what these individual traits mean. And then they also get a specific ability. Okay, so like if I say accept him, right? Or let me do this. I'll go to random faction. If I add a new random faction, and this is what they come with. So the United Earth Empire, this is what they come with in terms of default traits. And you'll see down here, there's a little traits, points total of what you can have. Now, you can modify these templates and then add in what you want. And then you can also choose an affinity. And the affinity is race specific, right? So this guy obviously has the United Earth Empire affinity, and that will give him essentially a tax bonus. Okay, now let me go back and I'll show you the race that I created. The Mals. Okay, so what do the Mals have? Well, let's find out. I took Pilgrims as the appearance just because I like the way they look. And then for ability, I took the Siphon's ability, which, the lower my tax rate, gives me an increase to research. So it can be a little challenging managing your money, but transversely, I do get the added research, which I feel is worth the cost trade. And then for the traits, I went with increased damage, and some of these have changed from Endless Space, the original game. But I took the following: deadly weapons. I took dust arcology so that I start with money because I want to be able to hire a hero. I took headhunter. I took for both administrator and for corporate, because if I'm going to have dust, which is the commodity that allows you to buy things, and it allows you to fuel hero abilities, if I'm going to have, right off the bat, if I'm going to have that expense, then I want to be able to capitalize on it. I took optimal structure, which is 30% additional tonnage on ships. This is just a phenomenal trait. And then I took scientists, plus 20% research on system. So, and this kind of synergizes with the siphon ability over here that I took. So essentially what I have created, and you can set it up however you want, I have sort of set it up where I'm going to do a run on technology, try to play nice with everybody, stay out of the conflict until I have a technological advantage, and then I would get really aggressive, right? That would be sort of how I would play this particular custom race. Okay? Accept. Alright, so I'm going to leave everything like this and just go into the game. Alright, so let's look at the interface. First off, you'll see we're kind of zoomed in here. If I roll the mouse button back, the center mouse button, I will zoom out, and you can see I can zoom out really far. And I can left click and grab the screen to move it around. Or I can use WASD, or I can use the arrow keys. Right? So I get plenty of control options, so whatever you're comfortable with. Okay. Now, let's look at the top icons, because these are the most important. We'll go over these first. Okay. You hover over. First one gives you who you've got contact with, what's your score. Second one gives you essentially your overall performance. Okay, so it gives you what your tax rate is at, what your current money is, how much you have coming in, and then what position that you're in, as in terms of if you add up your food production, your industry, your dust, and your research, that gives you essentially a combined points total, which you can see there. When I hover over that box, in the bottom right of the box, shows you the little emblems, like a little swirl, and then it says 39 and then 4th, so you can see how to read that. If I click on it, it brings me up all my star systems, which at this point all equals 1. 3 of what is that? 6 max population. My current approval rating, so if people are happy or not, they're content, which is really not great, but it's okay. How much food is being produced, and this fuels your growth. Industry allows you to build. Research, dust, which is essentially your money. Whether or not you're producing anything, and is there anything in the hangar. Okay. Now later on, there'll be things like trade routes, but we don't have any of that now because we haven't had any contact with anyone. Okay. Now, if you recall, I need to lower my tax rate because it affects my research. So if I bring it down, you can see research going up, right? So let's see. I'm going to go down to say, I think I'll go down to 25%. And this isn't a big deal right now. Give me 1 more point of research. But later on, it makes a big difference. Okay, so let's go back out. Let's go to the next one. And then speaking of research, here is our overall research trees. And you have Galactic Warfare tree, which is this one. Applied Scientists. Sciences. You have Exploration and Expansion. You have Diplomacy and Trading. Okay, now these sound pretty clear cut, but it can get a little confusing. So, like as an as an example, exploration and expansion. This gives you not only technologies that will allow you to explore, but also increases how quickly you can explore, because you can get enhanced drive technology that allows you to move more quickly. And we'll zoom in a little bit here. And one of the first things that you want to get to after you get some basic technologies is right here, applied Casimir effect, because you want to have total hull integrity. This unlocks the ability to travel through wormholes. Okay. And I'll show you that very briefly. Let's see here. Actually, doesn't look like I have ready access to a wormhole. Okay, well then I will revisit that. These are traditional space lanes, these sort of solid lines. When you get a wispy line, it looks like a, well, I'll show you later, but essentially you will not be able to pass through it. It's a specific space lane that's through a wormhole, and until you have the Casimir effect technology, you won't be able to pass through it. So you're kind of like, think of it as in a game like Civilization, where you want to explore another continent, but you can't because you're landlocked and you don't have the technology for ships. Same kind of concept. So we can move around on space lanes and the drive technology that we have right now, but we can't go very far, like to another constellation via a wormhole, because we don't have the technology. Okay, in order to select something, you simply left click. I generally go with fusion plants first for a low-level production, and then I grab private-public partnerships, and then I come down here and I start getting technologies that will allow me to colonize different types of planets. And you can just hold down the left shift button to queue these up. So see, it's this 1, this is 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Actually, I think what I'll do is just do that for now. Okay, here's the military. What we have are 2 ships, which are both hovering around our main system. One of which is essentially a colony ship, and the other which is a little low-level scout. We'll get more in depth into building and what have you in the future. We don't need to do that right at this moment. Diplomacy. Obviously, I haven't made contact with anyone. Once you do, an alien representative will just be displayed here. The color code of this disc at the bottom will indicate, who they are and what their status is. There'll be like a little line between that'll give you a visual aid as to what your status is to everyone. It's actually a really neat interface, I think. Makes things easy. Okay, click over here. Now, active heroes that we have none. Okay, academy size 3 is the number that we can have. This is when the next hero becomes available, and this is who we can hire. Okay, so let's take a look, because we're going to hire somebody. Corporate and administrator. Now, you don't see that combination a lot, but I did have the ability for headhunter, which allows for a focus on these types, and I'll show you why I wanted it. Okay. Inspect. Now, look at all these bonuses that this guy brings. Plus 20% research on a star system, plus 20% to the dust, 6 to the food, 6 to the production. Okay, that's awesome. And because we took dust arcology and have the money to hire him, that's exactly what we're going to do. And then we're going to assign him to our baseline system. This can really give you a leg up. Now, if you can play nice with the other races and you can push to explore, you can really capitalize on this. You get your tech ahead. This is a strategy that a lot of people use, and it works pretty effectively. Okay, now back on the main screen here. Over here, you'll have your updates, Okay, a little flavor text about this planet that we're looking for, or that everyone's looking for. And then announcements about these heroes being available, which we already knew about, but you'll get updates along here in terms of construction being completed, research being completed, and what have you. Your turn button here to advance the next, obviously to advance the next turn. Now, your ships. Okay, let me do this. I'll grab one of them. Here is the scout, essentially. I'm going to send him here. Okay, what do we find? Oh, wow, that's nice. You get these random events that can happen. Wow, that's cool. Look at that. Now, let's look. I'm not sure what's going on. Not sure why it's not showing me the system. No. Alright, well, I'll advance a turn. That's weird. Okay, not sure why it's... There we go. Not sure why it's not letting me just click to review. Okay, so here is the system view. So we've got these types of planets, and if you hover over their text, it'll give you all of their stats. We're going to go ahead and employ a exploitation on this planet. In this case, we're going to add food. So we're going to set this to food exploitation. You'll see it pops up in the queue right here, which actually technically I should have done last turn, right? And then we're going to put another ship in the queue to be built. We don't have anything else to build right now, so we'll set this exploitation to come through, and then we'll set a colony ship to be built. And oh, this must have to... I get it. Something to do with the new rally system. I'll look that up. Oh, wow. Friendly locals. Let's take a look at this system. Oh, not so great. Alright, so these little planetoids here in this system, there's 4 of them. As you can see, we've got red. They're red, 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 red. Same thing in our home system. Same thing in this one. It's because we can't colonize anything because we don't have the tech, right? So if I go back here, and look down, we haven't gotten to research any of this. Okay, so we can't colonize any of these planet types. So we're sort of stuck to Terran or Terran-like worlds, like for instance oceans. But we can still explore, right? So that's what we're going to do. Okay, and here is a wormhole. Okay, so that's a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. So we cannot traverse this. We can't get there. Cannot go anywhere out. So our arm, basically, we go back out, right? Here's our arm in the galaxy. Let me zoom in. See? This is it. This is all we've got until we get that technology. Okay. We're starting to see different elements in the, like right here, titanium, because we developed this technology over here. So we've got in-wave fusion plants, which gives us this heavy isotope refineries, which increases production, and then it unlocked this strategic resource. So when you're looking at what technologies do, make sure that you look at both icons, because it provides different types of enhancements. So we're going to go back to our core system. We do have this colony ship that's being built, but we really don't need it right now anyway, so we're going to put the heavy isotope refinery in the queue, and then you can just grab, left click, and hold to move things around in the queue. So we're going to put that first. We're going to go have this scout take a look up here, and you'll see some of these other strategic elements. We can't utilize them yet, because one, we haven't colonized those planets, but two, we don't have access to those luxury resources. Again, because we don't have the technology. But it's nice to know that they're there, and some of these can be very powerful. Now, look at, as an example, if you can get a monopoly on these, so 4 instances of the iconic crystals, then you get plus 60% ship movement speed on the entire empire. Which is pretty impressive. So you want to look for things like that. Sometimes, even a really bad system with terrible planets is worth fighting over if it's going to give you a monopoly on an important resource like that. Alright, good. I can show you this. So the hero got promoted, which gives you options here. Labor is increased to production. Wit increases things like research, or it leads to things that will add on to your dust collection, or things like trade routes later on. Right now, the best thing we can do is give additional labor, so that's what we're going to grab. That's a kind of a no-brainer for the first system. Later on, it becomes less important, so I'm saying that initially it's good to go with production bonuses, but later on, enhancements to things like food, trade routes, technology, sort of outweigh flat production bonuses. Okay, our research is complete. Let's go assign something new. And let's take a look real quick at these systems again. So is there anything really that we want to colonize in this system? Not really. This has got a planet anomaly that gives a bunch of negatives. I mean, the only reason to grab it would be for this titanium, which we really don't need right this second. If we go down here, yeah, this planet's of no value at the moment. In fact, the only thing I can see is that this large asteroid belts can be fortified with special defenses, so since it's a choke point, that might have some value later, but right now, not really. Now, this system has got some really great long-term potential. So if you can look past, that they've got some Arctic worlds or what have you, they've already got some positive anomalies, some really good ones, like this one here, plus 20% to planet morale, plus 1 food per person on planet. I mean, this is a good world. So I'd like to get to this, and same thing over here. Even though it's a lava planet, this is potentially really, really good. Okay, so I would like to take advantage of that. Let me send Investigator back up here. And right now, I gotta make a decision based on what I have, right? So this looks like the best world for me to go after. So in terms of tech, I'm going to go ahead and try to get to right here, Arctic colonization. So I'm going to grab arid, and then Arctic, and then go down here for applied Casimir effect. I mean, I have to cross through one of these levels, one of these research levels anyway to get the Casimir effect, which I want. So I'll just do it this way through Arctic, because I'll get, a drive improvement, and I'll get the ability to colonize Arctic. What do we got up here? So we got some more potential systems up here. New advanced defense ship is created on Artemis. Oh, okay. Great. So I'll separate these two out. If you want to put ships together, you just simply control click on them, like these two here. You hit the merge button, and now they're in a fleet and would operate together. So here's their total, essentially their firepower, and how many command points it takes to have them grouped together. 2 out of 5. Command points dictate how large your fleets can be. Technology can increase that. But, since right now it's more advantageous to have them separated, I'm just going to split them back up. And I'm going to send one here. And I'll send the other one here. Left click to select, right click to give them navigation. Okay, we need to put something in the queue here. Which, actually I think we'll let that procreator finish. Just in case we find something really good. Which is not this place. Oh, nice. Getting some really good events, actually. Okay, so this is colonizable. It's just not worth it to come all the way out here to this planet, in my opinion. Colony ships are kind of expensive. Now, this desert planet would be worth it, if for nothing else, for the money that this planet could bring in. So, I'll look at that. But it looks like I've explored most of what's up in this arm, so I'm going to go ahead and task this ship to come all the way down here to what is essentially currently the bottleneck system. Okay, hero leveled up. And we'll start seeing some varying types of options. Okay, now, I'm going to go ahead and grab plus 15 to food. So I want to get the growth increase going. So we're going to grab that. Ah, okay, a wonder. Okay, let's go look at that. Oh, see, looks cool. So wonders are specials. To unlock the full potential of this endless wonder, a restoration is needed. It gets plus 25 morale on the planet. That's pretty cool. So this system's got a couple of interesting things. And these anomalies can be removed and or improved. So this potentially, because it's got 6 planets in the system, there's a wonder here, there's a sort of a neutral anomaly here, a positive one here. This long term potentially could be a really great system. But for now, we're going to bring this ship all the way back, because we don't need them up there. Okay, our research is complete on Arctic colonization. So now you can see these are now color-coded white, which means they're colonizable, but they're not colonized. So blue is colonized, red means you can't, white means it's available. So we're going to go take a look here. This is a good option. Okay, let's get you down here. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit this little colonize button, right? I'm going to plant essentially plant the flag in the planet to take it. if there's any enemy presence, which the game defines as anyone else being there, you won't be able to colonize. So just bear that in mind. So do we want this one? Or this one first? I think we're going to go with this one. It's got plus to morale. Okay. Okay, we'll set up a build order here for this system. We'll get exploitation going, which for based on the planet can dictate whether or not what you should or shouldn't put on it, right? So this is an Arctic world, so the best thing to do here is right here, research related. And I'm just trying to rapidly get us to where we have the Casimir effect tech level. Oh, right here. Let me show you this. A ship was constructed, so you'll see this little, I don't know what you want to call it, but this indicates that this is the hangar. And it shows me that I have a colony ship available to go. So I would click here on the hangar. I would click on the ship itself. Hit create, and now the ship is out and available for navigation. Since I don't think I'm going to grab any of these other systems at the moment, I'm going to go ahead and take this ship and put it here. And I'm going to merge this down here into like a little defensive fleet. They've only got 60 military power, which is pretty low. But I did get that elite probe for free, and its military power is 150. So we'll bring him down and add it, and that'll give us a little bit of firepower. We could go ahead and colonize this other Arctic world, which I may do. But we're getting really close here to being able to go through the wormhole to see what's going on outside of our section of the galaxy, which means we'll start running into aliens, and we'll start seeing things like the diplomacy in action, and then spheres of influence, and trade routes, and all of that. So this video has become long enough, so I'm going to stop this one here, and then the next part, we'll start with more in-depth examination of interaction with diplomacy, and we'll look at how you modify and build ships, and so on and so forth. Okay, so as always, I'm Mal, and I will see you later.